Hi guys, Pam Washington here from Build My Cleaning Business. So I have something fun for you today. I want to talk about my top 6 favorite best commercial cleaning accounts. I'm going to give you the list that is based on my, let's see, this year is 25 years I've been doing commercial cleaning, and over that amount of time I've done everything. I've done every possible kind of account that there is, and I've sort of found that there are some that are much better than others. They're easier to work with. It's easy to close the deal. They pay their bill on time. They don't argue about pricing, and they're just a pleasure to do business with. So today I'm going to give you that list. So first up on my list is people who are in what I call precision professions. So people that are involved in work that is very detailed, that is very precise. So that would be people like engineers, IT specialists, computer people, bankers, accountants, attorneys, people who understand the importance of attention to detail, because that's what drew them to their profession, and they value that, and they're willing to pay a little bit more for. So that's kind of number one. And by the way, these aren't really in any particular order. I'm just going to give you my top 6. So number one is the precision professions. Number two is any sort of a white collar office space, what's sometimes called Class A office space. So what makes it Class A is that it's usually in a nicer part of town. It has more amenities, like maybe like a really nice lobby, parking lot. It'll generally be in good condition. It may be a newer building. It may be an old building, but in really good condition. And the kinds of people that tend to occupy white collar office space are generally sort of like accountants, insurance people, attorneys, anything where people are sitting at a desk, and there's usually carpet on the floor. Not always, but as opposed to hard floor, typically they will have more of a carpeted floor. Which actually kind of brings me to my next favorite type, which is financial institutions. They tend to get that the people who work there and the people who come to visit them are going to really make a decision. They're gonna be influenced by the way the building looks. So for them, it's really important that the building look like it's kept up and in good condition. So when I say financial institution, it can be stockbrokers, it can be like a trading house or brokerage house, it could be a bank, credit union, savings and loan, anything where they're dealing with people's money and with financials, because they understand that they need to make a good impression when people walk into the building. And typically, those kinds of buildings also don't have a whole lot of traffic, so they're not going to get super dirty. Okay, so I think that was number 3. Number 4 is, in general, I like a big space. A bigger space to me is better than a smaller space. And what I call big is like 10 to 15,000 square feet and up. Now you want to be careful, because sometimes when you get into the really large buildings, like several 100,000 square feet, 1,000,000 square feet, then you tend to get into buildings where there's a landlord, as opposed to the person that's buying the janitorial services being the person that's occupying the space. So what you want is you want a large building, 10, 15,000 square feet, kind of as your minimum, up to maybe 100,000 square feet. Generally speaking, if it's 15,000 square feet or so and you're cleaning all that space, it's going to take you at least 2 hours a night. So the nice thing about that is that if it's 2 hours a night, then it's a worthwhile job to send out your janitor. Janitors are not going to be willing to go out for a 20-minute job or a 40-minute job. So you really want something that's going to take at least 2 hours. If it is 10 to 15,000 square feet or bigger, it's also much more likely to have its own janitorial closet, which now becomes really, really attractive, because you can leave your stuff there. You leave all of your supplies, your mop bucket, your maid cart, etc. And now you're not paying people, you're not asking your janitors to carry their supplies around in their car. They go to the building, they clock in, they do their work, they go home. So that makes a very attractive building. The other thing about a larger building is that the larger it is, the more likely it is to be 5 days a week, 5 nights a week, or more, maybe 6 nights a week or even 7 nights a week, which is really ideal. You want buildings that have a bigger frequency, you know, rather than once a week or even once every other week. The thing about those is that the profit margin will typically be higher, but on a larger building, the frequency will mean that it's bigger in terms of how much you can charge. So generally speaking, we have a minimum of at least 15,000 square feet. We really won't even talk to anybody that's less than that. So number 5 on my list, and this is kind of similar to the people that I was just talking about, is where the people who are hiring the janitorial service are the same people that are paying the bill. As opposed to if you have, let's say, 100,000 square foot building, and maybe it's got 5 tenants in there and they each have 20,000 square feet, and the janitorial service is being provided by the landlord or by the property manager, that is not as good a scenario as if each individual tenant is paying for their own janitorial services. Because typically the landlord isn't going to spend the extra money to get great commercial cleaning. They're willing to just get barely acceptable commercial cleaning, you know, for their tenants. Because for tenants, if the cleaning is just okay, that's typically not going to be a deal breaker for them. They're not going to move because, you know, the office cleaning is bad. The things that attracted them to that building are going to be the location, the amenities, the price per square foot. So although they will complain a lot about the janitorial service, especially if it's bad, they're not going to move over it. And so the manager, the property manager or the landlord doesn't really have much of an incentive, you know, to go from paying, you know, 15 cents a square foot to paying 20 cents a square foot because it will make his tenants happier. Generally, they're not going to care about that. But if the tenant themselves is paying for the janitorial service, they will pay the difference between the 15 cents or the 20 cents or whatever the number is. So if you're looking at larger buildings, it's better if it's paid by the individual tenants. So that would be number 5 on my list. And then number 6, people ask me sometimes, you know, do I prefer certain industries? And I don't prefer industries, although I do have another video and another article that I can share with you where I'll tell you about the worst commercial clients, those that you want to avoid like the plague. But what I will tell you about industries is maybe more important than the type of industry is where your prospect fits on the spectrum of that industry. So if you're talking to people who are leaders in their industries, who are number 1, number 2, number 3, you know, who are the biggest or the best, the oldest, the most experienced, you know, the top company in that arena, those people understand quality typically, because that's usually what makes you a leader in your field, is the quality of what you do or how you do it. So they get that there's a difference between price and value. You know, that price is what you pay, but value is what you get. And so it's not always about the price, that they may pay a little more to get a higher value. And they will tend to be the kind of people who will appreciate a higher quality, who will be looking more for the value as opposed to the price. So look for, you know, like let's say if you're going to deal with builders, you know, you want to deal with the top builders in your community. If you're going to deal with attorneys, you know, you don't want those companies that are just barely struggling and only have a few clients. You want the people who have the best reputation in town as one of the leading, you know, legal firms in town. So look for industry leaders as the kind of people that you really want to seek out in whatever industry you're focused on, or across all industries, you know, but particularly looking for industry leaders. So that is it for today, and I will see you again very soon. Bye for now.